Here's the shocking truth. Some of the most common menu items you order in restaurants are the exact ones chefs warn against. Not because they taste bad on paper, but because in practice they're inconsistent, overpriced, or downright unsafe if mishandled. From dishes you've probably ordered a dozen times to those you thought were specialties, chefs say the red flags are hard to miss once you know where to look. Today, you'll see why professionals refuse to touch 10 everyday menu staples, and why you might want to think twice before you do too. Number 1. Well-done steak. You think ordering steak well done is the smart, safe choice. No pink means no worry, right? But here's the kicker. Chefs say it's the worst way to eat beef because every bit of tenderness and natural flavor gets cooked out. What's left on your plate is toughness hidden under char. The setup sounds innocent enough. You walk into a steakhouse, order well done, and believe you're dodging any risk. But in many kitchens, that request signals something different. Since the meat is going to get blasted until it's leathery anyway, cooks often pull from the lower quality cuts. That means you're paying steakhouse prices but getting the scraps dressed up in grill marks. Here's where it turns against you. A steak should be juicy and delicate, a real showcase of the cut. But when you order it well done, the chef knows the texture will be ruined. So seasoning, butter, or sauce often gets piled on to cover the dryness. You thought you were playing it safe, but you've essentially paid for a throwaway order cooked past recognition. If you want to balance taste with peace of mind, the safer route is medium or medium well. That still gives you cooked meat but keeps the texture and some flavor. Bottom line, a well-done steak isn't safer, it's just drier, tougher, and overpriced. You give up the best part and get none of the reward. Number 2, truffle oil dishes. You see truffle fries or truffle mac and cheese on a menu, and picture fine dining luxury. That word truffle signals rare, expensive, and indulgent. But what if I told you the ingredient behind most of these dishes isn't truffle at all? It's usually a bottled oil flavored with a synthetic compound that only mimics the aroma. That strong, earthy smell is designed to hit your nose before your tongue. The problem is it doesn't fade naturally the way a real shaved truffle does. Instead, it lingers like a cologne sprayed too heavy, masking the basic quality of whatever food sits under it. Fries turn greasy, pasta turns bland, yet your senses are overwhelmed enough that you don't notice the shortcut. Chefs know this trick well. To them, truffle oil screams fake luxury. It tells you the kitchen reached for chemical perfume instead of actual mushrooms pulled from the soil. What stings more is the price tag. Restaurants often charge premium dollars the moment truffle gets printed on a menu, even when the base dish is frozen pasta, average cheese, or bulk potatoes. You think you're getting an upgrade, but you're paying high value for flavored chemistry. Here's the truth. Truffle oil is a costume, not a food. Unless you actually see fresh truffle being shaved at your table, what you're tasting is manufactured scent. Bottom line, skip the oil and judge the dish by what's underneath. Number 3, buffet sushi. Sushi should stand for precision. Fresh fish cut clean, rice balanced with vinegar, and every roll built to order. But buffet sushi skips that rulebook and turns it into a volume game. Picture endless trays stacked high, rolls made in bulk hours earlier. That raw fish doesn't hold up well. Every minute it sits, it loses freshness and slides into the danger zone where bacteria can grow. Cold foods need steady control, but buffet conditions often mean long gaps where temperature isn't safe. What looks colorful on the tray can quietly shift into a food safety risk. Rice is another weak point. When cooked rice sits too long at room temperature, it gives bacteria a perfect home, the kind linked to foodborne illness. Buffets often stretch big rice batches, cutting corners on seasoning or quality. Add dull knives and rushed prep, and you lose the sharp, clean texture sushi is known for. Instead of firm grains and melt-in-your-mouth cuts, you end up with gummy rice and ragged edges. The appeal of all-you-can-eat distracts from that reality. Value feels high, but every dollar saved lowers your odds of eating sushi the way it was meant to be served. True sushi quality comes from small batches, handled by skilled chefs you can see at work. Bottom line, skip buffet trays and place your trust in the sushi bar within sight. Number 4, mussels. Mussels look like one of the safest bets on the seafood side of the menu. A big bowl arrives steaming in broth, shells clattering with bread on the side for dipping. It feels hearty and wholesome, the kind of dish that makes you think fresh from the ocean. But here's the hidden worry. A single bad mussel can wreck not just your plate, but your entire night. Mussels work like natural filters. To feed, they pull gallons of seawater through their system, trapping tiny organisms. That same system means they also collect whatever happens to be in the water: bacteria, algae toxins, even pollutants. If handling slips anywhere between harvest and pot, those contaminants stay locked inside the shell until you eat them. Unlike some seafood that shows clear signs, mussels don't always tell the truth until it's too late. Yes, a dead mussel can sometimes be spotted. Won't close its shell, smells off. But it only takes one hidden spoilage to slip through. That's why chefs avoid ordering them from casual spots. Storage and rapid turnover are everything, and if freshness isn't guaranteed, the risk is higher than most diners realize. Here's the kicker. When you order mussels, there's no way for you to know when they came in, how carefully they were stored, or how many days they've already sat on ice. Unless you're in a serious seafood restaurant with fast turnover, mussels are a chef's red flag. Bottom line, the rustic charm hides a real risk you can't see. Number 5. Daily specials. You see chef's special and picture a custom dish chosen for you. Maybe seasonal, maybe crafted with extra care. But here's the kicker. Most of the time, it's not a showcase. It's a strategy to move ingredients before they expire. That beautiful soup, risotto, or fish plate can be a patchwork built from leftovers pulled out of the cooler. Think about it. If a restaurant has fish that didn't sell yesterday, it's much easier to wrap it in sauce and call it a special than to toss it out. Same with meats near the end of their safe window or vegetables that need to be used fast. Specials aren't always designed to impress you. Sometimes they're a way to protect the kitchen's bottom line. Here's the truth. A true daily special should change often, respond to seasons, or highlight a delivery just brought in. But when the same special repeats day after day, that's not creativity. It's a signal that old stock is being stretched. You assume you're getting a dish with flair when what you're really buying is shelf life disguised as art? Specials actually give you a hidden window into the kitchen. They show you if a chef values freshness or just uses specials to hide scraps. Bottom line, don't take the word special at face value. Ask what makes it special today, and you'll know if it's worth your plate or not. Number 6, chicken parmesan. Chicken parmesan looks like the safest order on the menu. Breaded cutlet, marinara, melted cheese. Simple, familiar, and filling. But here's the kicker. Chefs call it the definition of a boring protein plate. It's comfort food dressed up as craft, and most kitchens treat it as a default option rather than a dish worth attention. Chicken is one of the easiest meats to overcook. Once it dries out, there's no way back. Heavy layers of breading and cheese hide that dryness, turning the meat into little more than a carrier for sauce. You get flavor, but not from the chicken itself. Even worse, low-quality cuts blend right in because they're masked under everything else. To a chef, that screams shortcut, not skill. And think about what you're really paying for. The dish sounds Italian, but most restaurants assemble it like a production line. Bread a batch of chicken, ladle on sauce, finish with shredded cheese, repeat. It shows nothing about technique, quality, or creativity. Yet the menu price tag often suggests tradition and craft. Behind the curtain, it's one of the cheapest plates to build. Here's the truth. If you're treating yourself at a restaurant, your dollar can buy food that actually expresses the kitchen's strengths. Chicken parm doesn't tell you anything about care or freshness. Bottom line, it belongs at a casual diner, not in a place claiming chef-driven cooking. Number 7, frozen calamari. You picture those golden calamari rings stacked high on a plate, crisp breading, maybe a lemon wedge on the side? They look like a fresh bite of the ocean. But here's the kicker. What lands in front of you is usually pulled from a freezer box, not the sea. Calamari is delicate when handled right. Fresh squid needs to be cleaned carefully, sliced thin, then cooked quickly so it stays tender. Instead, most kitchens skip the work by buying pre-battered rings straight from a supplier. They go from freezer to fryer, no skill required. That shortcut locks in a rubbery texture where the meat fights back with every chew. Oil and breading cover the loss of real flavor, leaving you full of grease rather than seafood. Chefs dismiss frozen squid because it strips out all artistry. There's nothing unique on the plate, just repackaged filler that any fryer can crank out. You think you're tasting coastal cooking, but you're really biting into the cold chain. That's value flipped upside down. You pay restaurant price for something mass-produced. Here's the truth. Good calamari only comes from fresh squid delivered that same day. It should be cleaned and cooked gently within hours, not days or weeks later, after sitting frozen. Bottom line, that's rare in most kitchens. So unless you know the seafood is real and fresh, what you taste is the freezer, not the sea. Number 8. Pasta Alfredo. A creamy bowl of Alfredo looks like pure indulgence. Smooth sauce clinging to pasta feels rich and filling. But here's the kicker. Chefs see it less as a luxury plate and more as overpriced butter, cream, and starch sold at a premium. It tricks you because it sounds Italian. In reality, Alfredo as we know it barely exists overseas. What you get in most American restaurants is a heavy cream base loaded with fat, covering up the fact that the pasta itself is often cheap and generic. The name makes it feel like tradition, but the recipe is a shortcut that doesn't demand much skill. Chefs point out how easy this sauce is to make at home. Butter, cream, and a little cheese, ingredients that cost only a few cents per portion. Yet, on a menu, that simple pan sauce suddenly carries a $15 or $20 price tag. That's the accounting trick. A dish built for the kitchen's margin, not your experience. The risk isn't just money. Cream sauces don't hold well when reheated in batches. If they sit too long, the fat separates and turns oily instead of silky. That breakdown is hard to disguise, leaving you with a slick pool instead of a velvety sauce. Here's the truth. Alfredo is comfort food, not chef's food. It's filling, sure, but in a restaurant, it's less about culinary art and more about easy profit. Bottom line, you pay restaurant prices for pantry ingredients. Number 9. Eggs Benedict. Eggs Benedict looks flawless on the brunch menu. A toasted muffin, soft poached egg, and that golden curtain of hollandaise drifting over the top. It calls itself luxury on a plate. But here's the kicker. Hollandaise is a sauce that doesn't forgive mistakes. Sauces like this need tight control. Too much heat and it splits apart into butter and clumps. Too little heat and it stiffens into a paste. Now add a packed brunch rush with dozens of orders. That's when corners get cut. Instead of building it fresh, a kitchen may hold hollandaise in a pan for hours, just trying to keep it warm enough. That's where the real danger enters. Eggs sit in what food inspectors call the danger zone, when temperatures aren't high enough to hold bacteria back. The problem is you can't see that risk in the sauce itself. A silky yellow cascade on the plate might already have passed through hours of shaky holding before it ever reached your table. Chefs know this, and that's why many avoid ordering it when volume is high. Every extra plate raises the odds of sloppy prep. Overcooked eggs, broken sauce, or worst of all, sauces held too long at unsafe temps. It looks elegant on camera, but behind the kitchen doors, it's fragile and unstable. Here's the truth. Eggs. Benedict only shines when timing is tight and the chef can focus on a few plates. Bottom line, that golden flow can just as easily crash into a food safety mess. Number 10. Market price seafood. Market price sounds like a touch of exclusivity, as if you're getting the best catch pulled from the sea that very morning. The blank line on the menu makes it feel like fresh supply sets the numbers day by day. But here's the kicker. That same blank line also gives a restaurant license to charge whatever they want, no questions asked. Seafood items like lobster, crab, or halibut are the usual suspects. You order without knowing the cost, and only when the bill arrives do you see what that gamble meant. Diners assume market price equals value and freshness, but chefs warn it can also mean the kitchen is pushing out older product that needs to sell. Without transparency, you're paying for mystery. The real tension is turnover. In a reputable seafood house with constant deliveries, market price reflects supply shifting with the tide. But in an average place that doesn't specialize, it can be cover for two things: an inflated price or fish sitting past its prime. You can't see that quality from the table, and the label tells you nothing about how long it's been on ice. Here's the truth. Market price only works when you already trust the restaurant's sourcing. If you don't, it's a blind bid. Bottom line, protect your wallet by asking before you order, or stick with menu items that list the price up front. Market price doesn't always mean market fresh. Here's the truth. The most common dishes often carry the biggest traps. What looks safe or comforting on the menu can hide freshness issues, food safety risks, or plain bad value. You don't see it at first bite, but chefs do. The real skill is spotting the signals. A dish built with pride shows care and preparation, quality ingredients, and balance. A plate built on shortcuts hides flaws behind heavy sauces, breading, or vague terms like special or market price. Subscribe now and I'll show you the items chefs actually respect, so you protect your health, your wallet, and your trust.